Hey there, making some ranch beans, which are just I'm using 15 bean mix, doing it in the crock pot. Doing when you're doing your beans, you always want to take them out. There's dried beans. Take them out and rinse them real good in water, and then let them soak, preferably overnight, for about 12 hours in water. You want to put them in a large bowl or pot, cover them up for about 2 inches over. Let them soak for a couple hours and then check them. If they need more water, add more water because they're going to rehydrate, suck up all the water, and then they're going to rise up. You want to keep them covered. That's the best way to do it. If you try and do it a quick way, you end up with beans that aren't done. They're still hard in the middle, unless you cook them for a really, really long time. On the stove top, it take forever. In the crock pot, we're going to cook them about 8 hours. There's our beans. They've been soaking since this morning. And for meat, I'm not putting ground beef or anything in there. I always like to use a ham, like a salted ham hock. They're cheap. They taste good. I think this one was all 98 cents. I've used these before. It's Daniel Boone brand. They taste good. They usually have them pretty cheap. They had them at the grocery store for 98 cents for that piece there. They sell them at the dollar store too for about the same price as that. So you're going to rinse your beans off, soak them for about 12 hours. Then we're just going to put them in the crock pot with the ham hock and get them started. I'm going to cook them about 4 hours. And I'm going to add in 1 can of diced tomatoes and onions to start with. And put in a handful of cracked red pepper flakes and some cayenne pepper. Probably about 1 tablespoon of cayenne, ground cayenne pepper. And then after they've cooked for 4 hours, you're going to stick in 1 bottle of 8-ounce bottle of like A1 steak sauce and let them keep cooking for another 4 hours. If you have to add anything to them, just add some more water to it as you go. Or chicken stock or whatever you got. If it's not spicy enough, you're going to test it just before it's done, about an hour before it's done. If it's not spicy enough, add some more cayenne pepper or pepper flakes to it. If it doesn't thicken up enough, now you're going to put them in the crock pot with about 1 inch of water over top of them. And you want to check them every once in a while to make sure you got enough liquid in there to keep them from burning. I'm cooking them on low for a total of 8 hours. If you wanted to put it on high, you could probably do it in about 4 hours, but it's not going to have the same consistency as a slow cook. And really, these won't be done tonight. These will be done in the morning. I don't go to bed till late. So if you can, like a lot of this stuff, after it's done, if you just turn it off, let it cool, and when you want to reheat it, just turn it back on and reheat it. Stuff really tastes better after it's been reheated. Any kind of soups or beans or anything, they always taste better after the second day. Gives it a better flavor. Everything melts together. It tastes better. I don't have any this time, but sometimes I usually, instead of buying steak sauce, I'll make my own sauce for these things, which is really just ketchup and Worcestershire sauce and a little bit of molasses and hot peppers. Gives it a good flavor. Let me get these things started in the crock pot. Okay, they're in the crock pot. I'm going to stick our ham hock in there now. Now when you're cleaning your beans when you first get them, always kind of go through there and wade through them. Sometimes eventually I've had little pebbles and stones inside there, inside the beans. So I kind of put them in a pot before you ever rinse them off and just wade through them. Make sure you don't have any contamination in there. Mud, bugs, pebbles, stones, anything like that. It's nothing worse than getting a mouth a spoonful of beans and chomping down on it and biting into a pebble. Cracked the filling like that before. So just rinse your beans off good, go through them, make sure there's no contamination. There's our beans in the crock pot and our ham hock. I'm going to add a little more water to it. It's only about 1 inch covered now. Need to add more. Once I get it started, I'm going to add the tomatoes and pepper flakes and the cayenne. Shouldn't really need any salt. A lot of this stuff you're just going to taste it as you're going along. If it tastes like it needs more salt, add more. Just remember this ham is salty ham. So don't go dumping a bunch of salt in there to begin with. You're going to ruin the whole thing. Because as this ham cooks down, the salt's going to come out of the pork that's in there and it's going to flavor it good. Beans are all done. Got up early this morning, turned them back on, let them cook for another 4 hours. After 4 hours yesterday and 4 hours early this morning, they were good to go this morning. Had a bowl of them with some corn cake fritters on the side. Turned out really well. That's a lot of beans. Be eating beans for a couple of days and then gonna freeze the rest of them, put a bunch of them in the freezer today. And then we can reheat them later on. So when you make these, if you got a big family, they can eat eating beans for 2 or 3 days. If it's just a couple of you or one of you, just freeze or can the rest of them. You can can them too. Just put them in mason jars and seal jars in a canner the correct way, and they'll last for quite a while. I'm not going through all that this time around, so I'm just going to freeze them. I'm going to eat a bowl right now with some Trappy's hot sauce. You can put any kind of hot sauce on them you want. I use Trappy's, which is the Trappy's Bowl Louisiana hot sauce right there. It's good. That and a cold glass of iced tea. Thank you guys. Enjoy as always.